Thank you. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good evening, good afternoon. I am Satinah. My name is Satinah. It is indeed truly a privilege and delighted to be here to be moderating this, I would say, an amazing session, because I have spoken to many of the speakers during lunchtime. And I want to thank the organizers for, is it okay? Oh, sorry. And I want to thank the organizers as well for inviting me to be the moderator among these experts of TVET, I wouldn't say education, TVET new areas, I would say. Yeah, new areas. They are no longer like what they used to be. I think once upon a time, as mentioned by one of the speakers this morning, TVET used to be sort of an education or school. If you are in TVET, the technical vocational, you are not supposed to be a very smart student. So you are a little bit lower than those who are excellent in academic. However, I think things have changed tremendously now, and I think after talking to my panelists here, I realized that TVET is no longer what it used to be. A variety of them that is embracing technology and new thinking and new ways of not only teaching but creating. So I must say that it is amazing. And I think the most importantly, when we say about the perception, one of the most important things that happened recently was the speech by our Right Honorable Prime Minister during the budget 2023, whereby in the trust, I think it was Trust 6, he did mention that TVET is something that they are going to reform and relook at it. I think most importantly, the emphasis was in empowering public-private partnership. That has been mentioned many times today during this conference, this forum. It was mentioned by him that 79% of our TVET graduates, they were able to get jobs, but however, they are being paid very low, 2,000 or less than that. So I think this type of scenarios should not be accepted anymore, because the government is spending a lot of money, like 6.7 billion for TVET education itself. So hence, the Prime Minister did mention that they are looking at new policies that's already been stated, whereby it is being contemplated, whereby PPP with GLCs already being sort of not only welcome, I think some implementation already on the way. They have to be looking at some of the community colleges, the Public Skills Training Institute, and the National Youth Skills, and so on. So they may have to adopt and adapt these type of institutions. So I don't think I want to talk very much about that. I think today I am truly privileged that we have the speakers that we have here, that they are academia, they are from policymakers. I would say Dr. Ramlee is a policymaker because she's from Public University, and we also have new actually thoughts in new thinking in TVET, which I think you all will be listening later. And we have with us here Professor Dr. Ramlee Mustapha. He is the head of TVET and Industry Cluster and the National Professor Council at the Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris, UPSI. Then we also have on my right, Madam Tan Cheng Liang. She is the Chief Executive Officer with VTAR, Utah University Institute, VTAR, yeah, Institute. And then we have, on my left, we have Mr. Anthony Ng Mun San, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of MIT Academy and MIT Metaverse Organization. That is some of the new words I just learned recently. The fourth one, of course, we have Dato Ganes. Dato Ganes has been in this area for a long time. And he is the Chief Executive Officer and founder for SG Education Group Berhad. And last but not least, and we have Dr. Ruzaimi Rani, the founder of drawzenia.com. I think what are they going to talk about, it will be something that you yourself will be so surprised because they are just amazing. I must congratulate the organizer for inviting this group of experts to come. Without further ado, let me start off with the first speaker. I think Dr. Ramlee, you said you are okay to talk about the first speaker. You are talking about what is happening now at the government and so on. Please, Dr. Ramlee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you are good. Wait until the end. Okay, thank you very much, Dato, for your very kind introductions. This shows that TVET, not only for the lower, because I'm a professor of TVET, so PhD in TVET and also a full professor in TVET. So I'm going to talk about today on the issues that we are facing, but I'm going to talk about the Asian issues first. Let's see. The Asians, we have about 600 million people, and this part of the world are the most dynamic and also require a lot of talents. So we will not miss the thing by not going into all venues of education. And so as I mentioned by previous speakers that many of the jobs will be lost, maybe 97 jobs will be created and 85 million workers will have to find new jobs. So TVET could be alternative pathway for the youth, especially we have a lot of numbers of youth in Asia. It's about 700 million and only 25% in, not in anything, not in employment. So especially for females, not very many in TVET session. And also enrollment in TVET is quite low among Asian countries. Job replacement in Asian countries like, I was surprised that Singapore is the highest displacement, followed by Malaysia. I'm not sure what are the factors that meet displacement in an advanced country like Singapore. So we have an Asian qualification framework which monitor the qualification of TVET among the countries. And these are the issues and challenges. One is governance, quality, branding, industry, and funding. I will elaborate on that one. But the focus is on the quality. What is the quality of our TVETs in Malaysia as compared to other countries? Because that will determine our economy and the productivity of the country. I think we have problems with our curriculum, employability skill, delivery, linkage to industry, government involvement, private-public partnership, and branding. So we need to learn from other countries like Germany, Australia, Japan, France, how they do it and how they're going to improve their system. Because I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to go fast. If not, Dato will force me to sit. Anyhow, what are models of TVET in Malaysia? So I'm a professor, so I'm examining the model that we are using in Malaysia's setting, but none of them. We are importing the models from different countries like polytechnics and WBL. WBL is a work-based learning from Europe, community colleges from US, dual system from Germany, TAFE system from Australia, Master School from South Korea, and company on-job training from Japan. So we are very pragmatic in terms of we are, combining some of this model. And then these are the occupational standards in Asian countries. All of countries have optional, national optional skill standard except Brunei, Darussalam. So when I was in Germany as a visiting professor in Dortmund University, I told them, they asked me, what is about NELS, National Occupational occupational skill standards. Who done it? And I say it's a government doing the NOS, and they are just laughing at me. They say, why the government do? It's supposed to be the industry doing. So I asked that our government is proactive, proactive. They're doing things. And I wrote this paper in New Straits Times 2 months ago, World-Class TVET will attract FDI. And these are the most competitive countries, and none of the top 20, we are not included. Anyhow, I was surprised that Saudi Arabia and UAE, Dubai, are among those competitive countries. Why? Maybe because of the talents. And the top companies, 50% owned by these companies, and how many of our students working in these companies? So these are the issues. One is attracting investment, developing relevant TVET talents, modified TVET curriculum, industrial-driven training, latest technology, employment, salary, regulators, law, and act. I'm going to go very fast. These are the profile of our countries in terms of the economy. The skilled workers is about almost reach 30%, 27.5%, but the semi-skilled still about 60%. And the salary, as mentioned, is about low salary of our. Let's see the comparison between Malaysia, Singapore, and Hong Kong. What are their salary? Fresh graduate, Malaysia 2,300, Singapore 10,630, and Hong Kong 7,914. But look at the Big Mac. What is the price of Big Mac? In Malaysia, 10 ringgit, in Singapore, 16 ringgit, and Hong Kong about 21 ringgit. But the salary is still far higher in other countries, especially Singapore and Hong Kong. And one of the things that concern, and I will talk and provide this information to the ministers regarding the oversupply of TVET institution. How many TVET institution in Malaysia? Anybody can guess how many TVET institution in Malaysia? If you can answer, you can go home early today. Yeah, it's about more than 1,200 TVET institutions in Malaysia, including the private, and public is more than 500, 6,000 programs and 80,000 students. In Singapore, only 6 public TVET institutions, 1 ITE and 5 polytechnics. I'm not sure if they have a private TVET. Lack of specific act on TVET. Another question, if you can answer, you can go home early. 1, when is TVET established in Malaysia? When? Anybody? Don't know. You don't know? Yeah. 1906. 1906. So we are over 100 years. Yeah. The first public TVET institution established by the British is 1906. So we forget about the centennial celebration. Now it's 116. I asked the minister, they say, okay, we celebrate in 120. 120. Okay, very good. So, and the law for the TVETs, how many? Since 1906, how many laws for TVET? Only 3. Only 3. Yeah. So these are the acts for the TVET, but other countries, they have a lot because they have a lot of problems. And lack of regulator. We don't have regulator to regulate 12 ministry on TVET. So everybody are doing everything themselves. So I'm going to suggest also to the government that we need a regulator so that regulator can, regulate the institution. So this is one of the suggestions to have a TVET commission. It was proposed last time, but not materialized. Okay, relevant skill, the future of learning, digitalizing TVET. So we have about 23% of e-economy, then a lot of opportunities for the TVET graduates. ESG, as mentioned by some of the speakers, and 4.2 million workers in digital. And these are hot jobs in digital industry. not going to, I just show you because I don't have time. And these are digital transformation areas and so on. So the industry mostly contributed to the digital, the micro, small, and medium enterprises. The metaverse will be taught by Doctor. Yeah. What are the characteristics of future TVET graduates? They are able to have the design mindset, creative, innovative. This all you have known about that. Have a design mindset. Why is it important to have design mindset? What is the problem with these photos? Who designed this road? Whose stupid engineer designed this road? Because the user are not using that road. Yeah, the user using different road. About this toilet, who designed this toilet? What is wrong with this toilet? The toilet paper is so far away. About this balcony, who designed this balcony? No doors. This is my classroom. What happened to that door? Who designed that door? How this outlet pouring water? How about this in England? Why? I don't understand why the phone is outside of the booth. Yeah. And this one, can you play the video for just 30 seconds?
Don't have much time though.
Yeah, just click. Can you click? Yeah, this is the welder. What happened to the welder? Okay. So they don't have the design mindset. Okay. Stop. Next. Be creative. Innovation is game changer. Okay, is this innovation? Are you think this is innovation? Are you going to use it? Yeah? No, it's not innovation. New but not useful. Yeah, innovation is new and useful. This is what we are going to teach the students. They have to have the teacher have to have the tool kits for them to teach what happened to Polaroid, what happened to Nokia. If you are not changing, you are going to become Polaroid and Nokia. Okay. Right? So this AI will, change our world. And these are the partnership between TVET and also industry. So I just go through. These are things that we need to think about in order to enhance our TVET graduates' quality in the future. So this is one of the GITC, meaning that government industry partnership. And these are the key initiatives by the government and the industry, by the institution. But as stated by the previous group, is uncertain future. And 65% of children entering primary school today will end up working completely new jobs. And 54% of jobs in Malaysia could be at high risk of being displaced by technology in the next decade. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Ramlee, Dr. Ramlee. Since he is from the public universities, so we do expect public university will play a bigger role, especially in terms of policy implementation, what to suggest to the government. And I think most importantly, they also, I don't know whether UPSI have started collaborating with the private sectors. I think these are the things that should be taken into account. Unfortunately, I'm not able to ask questions straight away, but because we are a little bit unlucky because we are the last. And our time has been taken earlier on, but notwithstanding that, I think we should be able to have a good, fruitful discussion. Next, we have another, the only lady speaker, and we have Madam Tan here. Madam Tan, she's the CEO from VTAR Institute. Over to you. You have 8 minutes, madam.
Hello. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Dato Satinah. Some of the points has already been touched, so I won't go through. So maybe I will use less than 8 minutes. But it also depends on the example I'm going to give to everybody. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to talk about making TVET a vocation of choice and adapting to changes in technology. Now, let's look at the statistic. All right. As you all know that why Germany is a strong industrial nation in the world, right? because 70% of their youth, 16 years old and above, they are actually involved in TVET education. And you look at Singapore, estimated about 60%, but Malaysia, we only have about 16%, right? Okay. So in Germany, they practice this system they call the dual system of vocational training. Malaysia, we call system latihan dual nasional. Or now, we also say that it's a private-public partnership. Now, in Germany, because of this dual system of vocational training, in actually year of 2012, when there is economic crisis in European, EU country actually, they have an unemployment rate of 22.7%. But why Germany, they actually have lower unemployment rate? The reason is because most of the youth are already skilled, they have a skill set and they're trained. So during that critical moment of the time, they actually can do a lot of innovation. And that's why people used to flock to Germany to look at the latest innovation of machine, things like that. And in Malaysia, just now we also have heard some of our speakers have said the mismatch. Actually, the graduate, the undergraduate, that after they finish their university study, they find that they cannot find suitable job. They cannot find suitable job, right? And as much as about 37% of our graduates are unemployed. But for the statistic of TVET graduate, 98.29% of them are all fully employed. So we heard just now that they are talking about some of the courses that are offered, the program that are offered in university, maybe it is not to the current, the latest, up to date of what the industry wants. And we have the participant just now from China also asking that in China, they are already moving towards mechatronic AI. But the graduates we produce in Malaysia have not catch up with the technology, right? But as for TVET training, just now we have mentioned about 98%. Actually, for my school, before my student graduate, there are already 3 jobs available for them. Why is it so? Because for TVET training, it's not like university. In one class, you can have 300 students participating. For TVET, maximum is only 25. Due to, they need to do about 70-80% of practical training. That's why we cannot produce many graduates at one time. And that make them very employable, because the skill set that we train them coupled with also soft skill, for example, attitude. What people are looking for is really good attitude. Just now a lot of speakers are talking about attitude, right? So how do we make a TVET more attractive? Besides what we have said, the private-public partnership to get the industry involved, we also need to make TVET fun for them, right? And my student, if you're talking about employability among the university graduate, my student, when they get into the industry and work, actually their pay is not low compared to a university graduate. Some of my students, they are trained 1 year in, let's say, hairdressing or in bakery. They actually can already get easily working in a hotel. They can get 2,600, a minimum pay, right? and the prospect of the career path is very high. We also have heard just now that so many SPM students, based on the ministry analysis, out of 14,858 or 3.8% of the total 388,000 students, the first-time candidate who registered for the 2022 SPM, they actually did not attend the examination. And about half of them, actually, they did not wish to pursue to university education. So the question is why? Because they feel that the time they spend and the money they invest, there is no ROI. So might as well better now they go and become influencer, right? Or in gig economy. That is the scenario we are seeing now. Actually, to become an influencer, they may easily able to fetch maybe 5 figures. But of course, not everybody will success to climb to the top, right? And the perception towards TVET is a negative perception. Like just now, Dato Satinah also has said, that a lot of people think those who do not know how to study, or they the last class, or they fail, then only they go into TVET. And TVET is a second choice because they think it's a 3D, it's a low-class job. And it's also only for blue collar. But do you know that actually blue collar is earning more than white collar now, right? If I can ask you, do you know how much is a plumber pay in Singapore? Plumber, not boss, plumber, worker. Anyone want to guess? How much is a plumber pay in Singapore? Any guess? 2,000? 3,000 Sing money? Okay, listen carefully. 10,000 Singapore money. Our money now is 34,000. Easily higher than most of us. Except maybe Tan Sri and Dato sitting in front. I'm not sure. Right? But the problem is, just now Professor Dr. Ramlee also have said, the problem is, actually some of our TVET course also is outdated, right? And we are talking about why is it that people think that we should all send our students must finish until Form 5? Even though they are not academically crafted for. Actually, our human being, our brain got left side and right side, right? If your left brain is good in academic, actually the right brain is good in vocational because the left brain actually develop more logic, science, or sense of time and language. But the right brain develop on creativity, arts, intuition, and imagination. So to say that those who enter TVET are only for those who are weak students is actually wrong because it's 50%, 50%. Now to force students to finish SPM when they are totally not interested, to give you an example, right? You know, to pass SPM, you must pass Bahasa Malaysia and Sejarah, correct? If you fail Sejarah, you fail the SPM, you cannot get the SPM certification. Now, if these students, they are actually right brain developed, that means they don't like Sejarah. So a lot of them fail Sejarah and they find it studying in the school is boring. And at the end, when they finish Form 5, they don't get certificate. So where they are going to go? I have one student that came in. She is orphan. Yeah, she came from the orphanage home, and she's studying hairdressing with VTAR. And when the SPM result came out, she failed. She failed her history, and she failed some other subject. So the auntie was scolding her. Why you did so bad?
Madam, you need to conclude.
Okay, let me finish. Why did you do so bad? And she said, I told her, you don't worry. When you go to saloon and work, even though you fail history, the customer is not going to ask you, who is the first king in the country? Who is the prime minister in the country? They're only going to ask you whether you know how to do hair. Correct or not? Yeah? So I'm going to go very fast, sorry. Okay. So how do we overcome? We need to start, just now we have said, some say start as age 13, but actually we start at age of 15, right? And the Deputy Prime Minister is talking about making SKM, making SPM equivalent to SKM. And that will help, is it not? That means, you know, they don't have to finish SPM. They can go to the SKM, right? Yeah. Right. And also there are 12 ministry handling. Now, if we can pack all these 12 ministry under one council, then we can all execute the Malaysian TVET agenda better and can plan better and know what are the industry needs. Okay. This is a public partnership, okay, public-private partnership. Get input from the industry. Then you get new knowledge, new technology, and new business concept can be timely integrated into the teaching content. So this is a win-win situation, whereby you see in Germany, you now also see in China. China now 50% of the students also going into TVET. And that's why China now is also very strong, because the students get to train in the industry with the latest equipment and latest technology. Okay. So I think I'm going to just wrap up. All right. Now, just now we talk about 4.5 million of Malaysia likely to lose job if they don't upskill. We are talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0. VTAR also will be the first institute in the whole Malaysia implementing, and we design this new program. They call Diploma in Digitalization for Manufacturing Automation. And we are working with Federation of Manufacturer Malaysia and also Small Medium Education.
You have to conclude because...
Okay, now. All right. So this is the newspaper article that just now I talked about. In Singapore, you actually can fetch, 10,000 Sing money for plumber. So for Malaysia to make TVET also more attractive, we actually also have to look at the salary scale. So thank you very much. With that, I end my speech.
Thank you, Madam Tan. I think the stigma of TVET as not very clever students, it comes from the parents. We need to change that mindset as well. Yeah? So without wasting time, let me invite Mr. Anthony Ng to continue. I know you have plenty to say. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm Anthony. Let's peel your eyes on the video. Video, please.
Welcome to the world of Metaverse. This is a new learning management system with our customer relationship management and a campus management system. This is the new way of learning. It's a VR-based education with AI, examination, HR, and finance. We're bringing in you whereby the courses will be in AI, with tracking, e-learning, education, management, and a system. AI facial recognition, how does it actually work? It's a sentiment analysis to actually see a particular person itself to understand their behavior. This is actually in our booth. And you can see a live view, a spotlight as well. This is one of my intern. On the right, you can see we're using the glasses, for the VR glasses, the HoloLens, and also the Oculus.
This is Oculus Quest, the powerful next step in our VR evolution. Even the controllers got an upgrade for improved ergonomics. But the real exciting stuff is under the hood.
A digital twin is a virtual replica of physical object, system, or process that used to simulate and analyze the behavior. Virtual reality and metaverse, on the other hand, is a technology that creates a simulated experience in a virtual environment. When combined, these technologies can create a highly advanced and immersive manufacturing environment. This can be used for training, design, and optimization purposes, allowing users to test different scenarios and evaluate the impact of changes in a safe and controlled environment. In addition, the use of virtual reality and metaverse can enhance the visualization and interaction capabilities of a digital twin, making it easier to understand and analyze complex data. The combination of IR 4.0, digital twin, virtual reality, and metaverse technologies can create a highly advanced and human-centered manufacturing environment that maximizes the strengths of both humans and machine.
The next area is the digital twin. The robot itself, the actual robot, could not come out of production. Example, the digital twin is actually the one that you program. The digital twin comes in various areas, even for like IoT gateway. This is the actual equipment on IoT gateway. And this IoT gateway, that you could actually run it itself. This is the actual Teams class that we run to troubleshoot itself on the IoT gateway. Next, we also have the PLC, the MacLab, we have the Omron License Training Center. This is a world scale equipment. We call it a MacLab system. Our international school have kids as young as 12 years old learning this technology. And the hydraulics, we're also working with Bosch itself. This is where we brought in Industry 4.0 back in 2014 to Malaysia. And we have the modular mechatronic training system, what we call the dark factory or a lighthouse factory. You can see from production itself, from one click of a button, it's fully autonomous, whereby you only have programmers, and all the way up to the packaging and handling solution as well. What are the use cases in Industry 4.0?
We provide the most advanced packaging automation solutions specifically to gloves, medical devices, and to all FMCG industries. If you are looking for flexible and innovative turnkey solutions for your end-of-line packaging automation, then you are looking at the right company.
These are some industry examples that we've done. You put your eyes on your screen here. We are very proud to say that Malaysia, we brought in World Skills. World Skills, have everyone heard of World Skills before? Yes or yes? No? World Skills is the World Skills Olympics that's happened in Malaysia itself. The new trait that we're introducing is robot system integration. So with this robot system integration, it's equipment that you use, is the official robot that you use for the for World Skills. This World Skills as well cover augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality with our metaverse learning management system. So we are collaborating with institutions, colleges, universities. We're working together itself to actually get more and more people into World Skills as well, because World Skills is trying to get trained talent. As long as they are below 25 years old, they're able to join this competition as well. Plus with the World Skills we're looking at, we have a revenue generation funnel. Once you have purchased the system, you can actually gain revenue by using training grants, study loan. We could actually get scholarships from Yayasan Didik Negara and self-finance program from MBOT itself. Next. So just now I shared about the metaverse itself. The metaverse that we're doing is the industrial metaverse. It's a learning management system with AR, VR, digital twin with blockchain digital certificate. The few areas that we're covering on is like Bosch Rexroth, smart intelligent manufacturing, robotics, and also programming. So as you can see this part here, can we go back to the slides? Okay, so as you can see itself, this platform as well, the blockchain system, we use the VR and AR to control, so you do not need to actually invest in a lot of equipment. With the digital twin technologies, is the actual systems or robot that you see, you can run it in the metaverse or the industrial metaverse system. This is another project that we're doing itself. It's called the Queen Bee Lighthouse. By the way, anyone ever heard of the World Economic Forum? Yes or yes? Can I have a show of hands? Yes? World Economic Forum, where the world leaders meet in Davos every year itself. Even you have Joe Biden, Xi Jinping, and so on. The system that is created in Singapore itself with companies with the Queen Bee sector like Bosch, Rexroth, Siemens, Omron, HP. They also have digital transformation with Microsoft, SAP, and Johnson Control. We are starting a Queen Bee Lighthouse system in ASEAN with Bosch, with Siemens, with Omron, Fanuc SMC, Intel, and also NVIDIA. NVIDIA is powering your ChatGPT, your OpenAI. Without that as well, you could not run your OpenAI. Our Prime Minister has announced the Malaysia Center for 4IR. With the Malaysia Center for IR, we're working together with MyDigital on this. And you see our National TVET chairman here itself. Not sure why it's so blurred, the picture. The National TVET chairman itself here, our Deputy Prime Minister, is chairing itself. So with this, we collaborate together with the Ministry of Human Resource and also Ministry of Economy. As you know, we have about close to 1,291 TVET institutions with 255,000 TVET graduates. With this as well, that was one of the events under National Training Week that we actually presented together with the National TVET chairman to share about the Malaysia's project of the Beacon for Industry. So far in Malaysia, under the World Economic Forum, the Lighthouse Network, there's only one company that we're serving, is Western Digital. If you guys use Western Digital for your hard disk or your SSD drives, they have semiconductor and so on. So we are training their people from the operators to technicians, technicians to engineers, and engineers themselves have to reskill and upskill in the area of Industry 4.0 because a lot of them are very theoretical based. So we actually upskill them in that particular area. We have also Jinko Solar, Great Tech, Jabil, and all the multinationals that we're training. Plus, the characteristics of Lighthouse is to actually bring them to the next level. So we're collaborating itself with universities like yourself and partners that we can work together to achieve this goal together. And before I end this up, if there's any questions you can ask me or my team itself, Mr. Jaswan. Can you stand up, Mr. Jaswan here. Then we have also Encik Mat, Stefan, Dr. Stefan, and also Catherine. With that, without further ado, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. You're keeping on the time. I think we want to leave a little bit of time for question and answer later on. It is mind-boggling. For me, it is mind-boggling listening to you. Let us move to the next speaker. I think we have Dato Sri Ganes. May I invite you?
Good evening. Yeah. My presentation.
Dato, you have 9 minutes as well, 8 minutes as well.
Okay, I will start right now. Right. Okay. Yes, of course, we've been listening from policymakers. We've been listening from people from different perspectives on TVET and education today. But I have a different perspective that I would like to share as a TVET practitioner itself. So we have to tone down now to the real practical thing that what's happening on TVET. Instead of, we talk about what has been planned, what have been implementation ongoing right now and so forth. Let's go to the practicality of it. See, if you notice, my topic, when I was required to submit my topic, I was very skeptical in presenting statistics, what's going to happen and so forth. Because, we've been talking about that all the while, but I don't see a good rollout plan that's happening unless we in this room trying to drive this, right? So if you look at my topic title itself, I call it TVET, TVE, and I put it an extra T and also the power of X. Because for me, TVET, over the last 23 years of my experience in TVET, this has gone beyond what we can imagine, all right? So we have to take it as it comes. So I'm going to talk about technical and vocational education for emerging technologies. Don't worry, I don't have 100 slides, 10 slides, or 5 slides. I only got 2 slides, right? And I'm not going to go to the second slide yet. I'm just going to tell you, before we go into TVET, and then we were talking about the number of target group coming into TVET and then producing the employability pool and mismatch and so forth, right? I need to bring you to a little bit of history. I think mind-boggling session was with Anthony. He has brought us to the next level of, using HoloLens and all that. Very good what we have been facing today. We're very proud to have him on stage also. But we need to understand why TVET is effective than academics. It's not only about practical skills or not only about employability. We must understand how education actually derived first. See, it all started in the first industrial revolution, okay? Whereby the husband and wife needed to go to fulfill the vision of country or the global itself to produce or to invent, to develop things, to mass produce things for war, mass produce things for the industry and so forth. So the child were required to put in a closed environment for learning purpose, all right? So then we have very limited, I would say, mentor or teacher in place. So what they did was they put a group of students in a classroom and teachers supposed to teach. Now, don't forget, those students in that classrooms all are wired differently. But there's one person right in front there trying to fulfill everyone's curiosity by giving them education. This is where then pedagogy and all the right mind learning guide were formed to teach those students in the classroom. But they are general students. It's a very general way of putting education into them. So you're talking about, say, 50 of them in the classroom. One teacher is gonna assimilate his knowledge to 50 of them, but all of them gonna take it in their own form understanding. Example, when I talk about handphone, many of you in this room, you might imagine Samsung, some of them will be talking about iPhone and so forth. Some will even talk about other brands. So, but we're still talking about iPhone, but the way you use your phone or you accept the technology could be different. You have the phone with all kind of features, but you only probably use 2 features. Answer phone calls and use WhatsApp. The rest of it, you don't care, right? But in the app store, you got thousands of them for you to explore. At the same analogy, you try to see it in a classroom as well. So when education was there, a teacher will try to assimilate something to student, and the student will accept it the way they want. This has been carried generation after generation, and this we are still stuck with that. All right, we cannot. It's not anybody's fault, but that is the most practical way of putting education into perspective. Now, why TVET is different? As rightly mentioned by our lead presenter just now, she was talking about. In TVET classroom, there's only 25 of them, all right? And you don't call a TVET lead as a lecturer, right? A lecturer, philosophically, they lecture what they know, right? Whereas in TVET, right, you call yourself as trainer, meaning your students have the ability to do things better than you. Remember that, right? So you're not the master trainer here. You are exploring with the student. So in a classroom of 25, we can divide them into 3 different sections. One is those who have some skills, knowledge on this thing, the way they can assemble or disassemble things or understanding of items. And the second category could be sitting on the fence. They might know a little bit, but they don't know the practical knowledge of it. And then you have the third category, which have zero knowledge. Why is he there? Right or not? So the trainer's responsibility is to ensure all 3 gets the same skill set and to move forward. As I mentioned to you, rightly mentioned, they are all wired differently, right? So a trainer will understand, a TVET trainer, that those in the classroom who have all the knowledge will lead the rest of the group. Whereas you as a trainer have to work someone as from the fence and also someone from the first category itself. This is how a TVET things works. So a TVET student gets more practical hands-on knowledge through this mechanism. So that is why they are employable, because they go direct to the subject matter, they are trained well, and we give importance to their skill and we develop their skill. Now, when you have that in place, so emerging technologies, when you want to adapt and adopt them, will be easier. All right? At the current situation, as I mentioned to you, how we actually derive from education and why the TVET graduates are more employable, right? Let me explain to you, based on my experience all throughout my career on TVET, why emerging technologies rightly can be inflated in TVET mechanism is because, as I mentioned to you, they got direct access of the practical knowledge. And then your trainer is not necessarily from an academic background. They come from modular basis from industry. They can teach on a certain modular programs to ensure that they have the skills for the industry. All right? I need to correct here, it's not about employability only. They have the skills not only to consume, but to be a developer and inventor. Let me give you a scenario. We are talking about IR 4.0. Have you noticed the adoption of IR 4.0 among the industry is far less than what we think. Why? Because IR 4.0 is about selling brands, is about selling technologies, which some companies don't even need them. Example, I've met one company, or 3 of them, they got machines which are at least 40 to 50 years old, or even some of them have 80 years old machines still good in their factory, right? So they don't have to change that particular machine just because you have come out with IR 4.0. All they need to do is that to retrofit it, to ensure it gives you data for you to perform better or to understand the machine better to create better productivity. No, retrofitting, for you to understand about automation retrofitting, it has to be from a TVET grad because he is into it, all right? Because he's into practical skills. He knows how to work on things or make do what he has. Whereas the academic graduates, they're not bad, they're good, right? But they need to have that skills with them for them to understand the exact industry needs, all right? So this is the exact thing why emerging technologies plays a right, it sits on the right spot, sweet spot for TVET graduates or the TVET students at the moment. This is based on my experience. Now, when I send my TVET graduates at a job place, they may not present well, but they can do the job, right? So what they are needed actually out there is to give them the confidence. But you must mind something, as a TVET institute, right? We get the students for only 2 years. The last 15 or 13 years, that guy was stuck in the education mindset, which it's not my responsibility to change. I cannot change someone who has been there for 15 years, with a different mindset. So when they come to me, I have very little time to change them into the needs of the industry. Now let's talk about emerging technologies. I think I have the right or experience to talk about 2 different technologies, which is the drone technology and also on the electric vehicle. When I brought in the drone training in 2015, right, people were so obsessed of it. In 2017, everyone wants to go into a drone technology program because it's a hype. We're talking about hype. Everyone talks about drone. They said, oh, drone is a silver bullet. You can use drone to cut the palm oil, bunch and all that, using laser and all that. You see, this is totally ridiculous. Right, let me tell you something. The reason we bring in emerging technologies is to walk backward, to understand how this technology works and how to help them to adopt in the industry. Example, when you bring in drone technology, you need people to do maintenance and repair. This is how the TVET graduates are relevant into this because they have the knowledge of electronic and electrical principles. They know to repair. So drone technology itself is not a rocket science. It's not an invention. It's putting 2, 3 technology together, technology convergence, and you're using that white space between where the aeroplane and also the ground for you to make use of the space. That's it. But it cannot do a lot of things for you, right? So when we brought in the drone technology, we understand what kind of relevant skills needed in the ecosystem, right from processing data, right from repairing those, right from adopting these different payloads and so forth. So any technology associated with drone, the TVET graduates get assimilated into these particular skill sets, all right, that needed by the industry.
Sorry, I have to remind you. I think...
okay, right, sure. I'll wrap up in 1 minute, okay? When it comes to electric vehicles, it's the same. Try to understand this. You don't need an automotive engineer to be a EV certified technician. Why? Because the EV car works totally in a different principle. It works only with 4 motors, 1 ECU, and battery. So you don't have to have the understanding of combustion engine to do this, correct? So basically, the graduates from the electrical electrical or mechanical background, they can upskill themselves using this certification to come into this. So you don't have to create someone from Form 5, for the next 2 years for the EV industry. You get what I mean? No? So the duration, industry won't wait. All right? But now, industry being selfish, right? They won't wait, they want someone fast. But when you go to the industry, the amount of experience that you gain from work-based learning will bring you somewhere. All right? So with that, I don't have the time to actually touch on the issues faced by TVET graduates, but I think as on a macro view, I've given you the idea why actually the TVET graduates are employable. is just because they hacked the way they have been taught in the classroom, and is much of the practicals which requires solution. It's not much of a bureaucratic process of procedures and so forth. All right. With that, I wrap up my session for today. I'll be here for your question and answers to give you my best possible inputs. Thank you again for inviting.
Thank you, Dato. Actually, today, I think we learned a lot of new things. I think your perception and your explanation, it's really very, very useful for the rest, actually, to understand. And I had the privilege of visiting his place, Dato Sri Ganes, when I was still reattached to the Ministry of Education. It's an amazing situation when we see children, I think our children who are not doing so well, and they are so poor, yet they are there, and they're learning a lot of new things. So thank you, Dato. And of course, the last speaker, and we will be waiting also for him, Dr. Ruzaimi Rani, the founder of drawzenia.com. Please, Dr. Rani, I know we have 8 minutes, but I think I'll give you extra time, since you're the last. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dato. Okay, since everybody is talking about TVET, and then I'm talking about, are we prepared? Okay, to check whether we are prepared, can you prepare a piece of paper with you? Do you have pen or pencil? Just to give you an idea, our TVET prepared or not? Okay, can you prepare a piece of paper with you now? And draw me a pot, pasu. A pot, draw me a pot. Just, we want to see whether our TVET students, our TVET graduates prepared or not. Same goes to us. Okay, draw me a pot, pasu. Okay, once you finish that, can you draw me your dream house? Can you draw me your dream house? Okay, there's two situations here. One is pots, another one is dream house. We have to ask, question on this. Are we going to produce TVET that only can use, or TVET graduates that can create? A pot mentioned that I asked you to draw is, if you are able to draw a pot, then we become a TVET user. If we are not able to draw dream house, we are not going to become a TVET creator. So that is our challenge. Okay, we continue. Okay, allow me to introduce myself. I'm a trainer to bijakpandai.my. You can find me there. I don't want to waste my time introduce myself. I'm an architect by discipline only. I'm not practicing because I'm one of the good example on how I transform myself from a professional into a trainer and creating a new modules for TVET. Okay. It's a huge subject matter that I'm going to talk, but I'm going to only talking about this, the small dot. That's enough. Human development in TVET. Okay? Which one are you? I'm very sure most of you are that one, right? So that are worrying me. I've trained more than 8,000 participants around Malaysia in corporate, teachers, trainers. We have a very creative ideas here, TVET ideas. Unfortunately, we cannot communicate effectively. That is the first thing that we need to settle, to resolve, to solve. If we don't do this, others, what we are going to do next is useless, because the fundamental of TVET graduates, especially in communication, we are not preparing them with that skill. Okay. It's going to be a chain reaction effect, dominoes effect. Can you imagine? One person cannot imagine their dreams of whatever TVET's ideas, the nation will receive that one. The war tank, the lower part. So that is scary part. So that's why what I'm going to deliver here is we have to check the fundamental of human development, especially on visual communication. We are losing millions of dollars because of this. We are not able to visualize our ideas and communicate it well. In TVET, it's happened everywhere. I give you an example. There's a plumber, or there's a machine, a high-tech machine handled by a TVET graduate. he knew the answer. He knew the answer. But he cannot communicate it very well to the focus group to solve the problem. At the end of the day, we will ask the expert to come in, and then we have to pay them a lot. But actually, the workers inside that organization can solve that problem. Unfortunately, they cannot solve because they cannot visualize it properly. So we lost millions of dollars. Can you imagine? This is study done. A person, we lost 4,200 US a year for a person for miscommunication. We will save millions of dollars, and also now people are talking on decarbonize, right? Can you imagine if we can save a lot of millions of dollars, we can save a lot of energy, and we also can reduce the carbon footprint. Okay? Why I'm really serious on this? Everybody is pushing towards digital, I'm pushing towards freehand. Actually, we cannot run away from digital. We cannot run away because we are living in digital world. We cannot do that. We cannot. But we have to be at par. We have to balance it out with freehand. Do you know why? Digital is comprehensive communication in TVET, digital. But freehand is used for instant communication in TVET, especially when you deal with problems on site. Okay? So we continue. This is study done by, if you know George Lucas, the one who produced Star Wars. You can go for editopia.org, the research done by this group. Can you imagine? We can change it, you may change it, TVET graduates who can improve a lot of in thinking process. Okay, can TVET graduates adapting to changes in technology if they are not effective in their communication? Confirm not. Less effective, cost you a lot of money. Next, what is the best strategy to solve these problems? TVET graduates needs to acquire visualization through freehand. If not, we are still at the same levels as today in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very, very, apt your time. You keep time, Dato Ruzaimi, very much. Thank you very much. I think we have heard amazing presentation by our 5 speakers. Each one of them has come up with their own perspective, from the policy perspective, from the experience they've had, and the mind-boggling from Anthony. And Dato Sri Ganes himself, he has been at this, and he has been training many of them at his place, Seji Education. I can say that because I've seen with my own eyes. Pretty impressive. And of course, when I sat with Dr. Ruzaimi for the first time over lunch, I am truly amazed with what they do. And it's one of the areas that we really need to look at, communication. It's not only in TVET, but also in everything else that we do, industrial, anything, entrepreneurship. You're not able to actually to relate, to tell the stories of what you do best. So this is another, thing, actually the trend that we should be looking at, because education is not just about getting education, acquiring education, but at the same time, we must be able to also explain what we do. And I think, I don't know, I find it to be very interesting that we have 5, but I want to open this hall to any questions that you have. You want to forward it to any one of the speakers today. Please. Please mention your name. Yes, please, sir.
Silverach here from Unimas, KL Learning Center. First of all, I'd like to applaud all the speakers. I tell you, you've done a great job. Each of you have touched on the very perspective of what's required at national level. Now, I want to go back, Prof, way back in the 70s and the 80s, when we had students in the schools, a normal school, and then halfway through the through the Form 3, then there was a departure, one towards the academic line, and then they went to vocation schools. I have a friend of mine who did that. Today, he's a very successful man in Australia. Why? Then he was working very well, and here we are having issues again. The system was running so well. Perfectly fantastic. You know, and then we came in with all these new policies and all that, juggle it, and then we have to come and do it like, not treating it as though as individual patients. I think it's time that we set a priority, focus. You guys are there, the experts there. I think we need a national perspective in looking at this seriously. Because TVET is the future. We can see that.
Yes.
As you can see, I think your statistics show that only 13-14% of Malaysians are moving towards that, you know. And then we are not industry ready as yet.
Right.
Dato, Ganesh, you have done a fantastic job. I know I also visited your place. They meet the industry need because you have trained them in that way. But how many of the providers are doing that?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I think that's a very relevant question. I think Prof. Ramlee, you want to talk about that? You have to answer the question.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Prof. What's his name? Prof, yeah, thank you. We are in the same line. I was advising the minister or the, TVET department regarding, when they want to abolish the vocational school. I say it's not going to be a good policy because that is your supplier for the TVETs. So they want to upgrade to vocational colleges, which I say is fine, but not all the vocational school should be upgraded. Maybe 15 that the original, the pilot school should be upgraded to vocational colleges, but the rest should be stay as the vocational school because that one is their feeder for the future. But of course, just advice to them. And another thing that now I think is a great challenge from my personal perspective is the abolition of the PT3. PT3 should be the point where we can decide whether the student should go to academic or the student should go to vocational. But without that, national examination point, the student might, spend a lot of time wasting their time until SPM, then they decide they want to go to vocational. So that, I think, the tracking should start at least at the 15 years old, which is after the Form 3, they have to decide whether they want to go to vocational or the academic line. So they don't wait until Form 5, then they decide where to go because it's sometimes it's too late. So that is my personal opinion. Okay,
thank you. Any other? Yes, please.
Okay, rightly said by Prof. Silva just now, and also I concur what the doctor was saying. Now, let's look into this. I just want to give you a small thing. Now, when it comes to education, our target group would be students, correct? That's our target group. If there's no student, no education, no summit, no nothing, no college, no university, right? But if you notice, our target market has been drifting apart. Contohnya, why are we talking about those who got, congratulations to those who got 9As and all that, SPM, no doubt. Those who fail also, congratulations also, because you know why? At least you know what is TVET right now. But we are talking about, number one, the alarming figure, those who did not even sit for SPM. The number is increasing, right? And we have all the statistics. Those who didn't sit for SPM, those who did not continue after Form 3. Because that is the age. The retention of knowledge they get from their handphones. They know things better than their teachers. They think, right? So they say, why I waste my time wearing school uniform and following all these things and I don't have flexible hours of study. And we were very proud about gig economy for the wrong reasons. You think sending someone to become a dispatch and a food delivery guy going to assure their future? No. Because when they got too much into it, the skills that they will attain is only riding a bike and going after money. They should be encouraged to work, to give them additional allowance to attend TVET programs at their own flexible time. That is the way forward. We are just laymen who can give this suggestion. But I think it should be a policy. Don't get too carried away with gig for the wrong reasons. And look into the students who did not complete do not even attend schools. They are the alarming fear. They are our future. These things were long tackled in Finland. They're one of the best education system, very flexible. I speak on different international forum for the last maybe 10 years. And I have all these ideas from them. Even Philippines are implementing that with the support of the industry. So we need now to look into that. That is my suggestion. Our target market is not there. No students, no university, no college, no summit. So we need to ensure that these numbers are there for us to be relevant today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony.
Yeah, so I think to add on to that itself, we were the first private college vocational college back in 2012 during the economic transformation program, so on, because the government didn't want to spend money to actually set up robotics, mechatronics, mechanical, manufacturing, engineering, whereby during that time, 2012, we were first introduced by one of the inventor, our partner Bosch, on Industry 4.0. 2012, we were saying, we follow you, we don't know what is the meaning of Industry 4.0, we follow. 2014 only, when we started promoting, 2016. Malaysia, we only catch up only like 2018 when we just launched Industry Forward. So basically, what you can see itself, like the TVET graduates itself coming out, I think I should point on is very true, whereby it's like a doomsday coming out for all those children and all those people who wants to be either a influencer. We are one of the cause of the problem. We created internet, they use internet. We created social media, and they use social media, and what they want to become? Influencer. So we are part of the problem as well. But what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, one of the biggest concern of having them not skilled in proper area in what technology is moving is faster. So just imagine, like, we have to upskill and reskill Western Digital, Lighthouse Factory. The company is moving so fast, but the people are not ready. That's why they have to be upskilled all the time. And it's a policy under the ESG agenda, whereby the social governance part of it, they have a global business alliance. It's wrong to keep the person there like a technician or engineer for 5 years and not move up the ladder. So if every company has the same ESG agenda, then that will be actually something that we can move forward as well. So we have a long, long way to actually go itself, but that's why we start a lot about training in the industry and train industry personnel to show that what we do works and how you can actually move on as well to have the supply chain talent as well.
Thank you, Anthony. Dr. Ruzaimi, you have anything to say? No. I think this is so obvious what we hear from four of them. Now we are asking back the system of education. If this is happening, what is the point of having examination? You have to pass your history, you have to pass your BM, or else you cannot get certification. What is the purpose of education? You want our children to continue with their lives, or you want to actually basically penalize them? Okay, you drop out, you don't have an exam, you don't have a certificate. I think these are the things, the future thinking we should have. I heard this morning so many of my former colleagues, my former minister, but I'm with them. I think the Ministry of Education or Ministry of Higher Education, it's high time for them to really relook at what best for our future generation. How can we do? What can we do? Get the industry to be involved. Don't think that the government are the best people to formulate policies. No, no longer. Get the industry people because they are the people who are going to engage them. So it is very sad, but this is reality. Thank you, Alice. We have discussed this type of issues openly in this conference today. Madam, I think you would like to say something. Please.
I think to answer that question, the problem lies with the politician. Just now also, YB Mazli has already said, every time you have a new education minister, they try to change the system, or maybe they like to leave a legacy there. I don't understand. Perhaps the way to solve it, I mean, we were doing well. Then why did you change, right? Perhaps the way to solve it is you got to make sure that the education minister, whoever the candidates that will hold the post, they must know what is education. Maybe do not necessarily need to be elected ahli parliament, But the Prime Minister should be able to appoint someone who really have the qualification, and someone who don't just change a policy just for fancy sake. And they should also have a council whereby you get the private sector, you get the professional, you get the university representative to come in, right? And also from the industry. Then I think we can formulate a better and latest curriculum to chart for the way for the Malaysia development. That's my view.
Thank you. We don't have much time because we are almost 5:30. We were late. We started late. But I would like to give at least a minute each for each one of the our panelists to say something before, to end the session today. Yes. You want to start? Who would like to start? Probably, yeah. Your last, I don't think we have time for questions.
Yeah, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
I think we have to go back to the basic, the fundamental. Trust me on this, because from this morning until this evening, I heard a lot of complex ideas, Unfortunately, we have a big problems in fundamental. So I think we have to start thinking back to the fundamental. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Dato?
Okay, from my point of view, I think I have raised all my points, and in all the forum, I mentioned the same thing. Now, we have to, we cannot only blame the government for it. Why? Because I don't wait for the government to make any changes. I'm not governed by MQA or whatnot, so we are under Department of Skills. I've been fighting over skills program, maybe the last 20 over years. I bring in different programs to JPK and go around the policies and educate the officers. And today they're doing a good job. They're allowing modular programs, they're allowing RPEL programs. All these are facilitating those in the TVET ecosystem. All right? I have no right to say anything about the higher education ministry. I'm very fascinated with TVET. I'm still working on it. I think we're doing a great job. The private industry. Thank you.
Yeah, Anthony.
Yeah, I think I also the same as well. I don't really 100% say blame the government and politicians, because that's another chapter altogether. I think because we have a lot of experience with industry. Like for instance, we work with Germany with BIBB. We work with Japan, Javada TVET system. We work with Korea system. We work with the Philippines system. We work with around the globe. So we understand where are the strengths, the weaknesses, and so on. By bringing all those systems as well to introduce to Malaysia and start talking to the officers and so on, go down to the grassroots level. They do actually understand and accept. We've been pushing even for example program to run online, to run it asynchronous, to like on-demand learning and so on. And finally, just this year they've actually said, okay. So also pandemic caused the thing to move up, but things like this we have to engage a lot with the government and bring them and let them see the industry as well. And let the industry people even talk to them. Like we do through our association. I'm part of the Malaysian Automation Technology Association. We used to be under the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers. So this part of it is the engagement with the industry and also with the TVET. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. May I go to Prof. Ramlee?
Thank you. I always focus on quality. So I said just now that in Malaysia, I think there's an oversupply of TVET training institution. We have more than 1,200. So I think one of the right strategy is to establish what we call TVET Commission in order to monitor, regulate this institution, make sure only the quality TVET institution is allowed to continue their operation. Because a lot of the, TVET institution, they have a duplicate, the same program, the same facilities, which is not, updated and so on. So my suggestion to the government is to have a very independent TVET commission, which is going to regulate the 12 ministry that have a TVET, programs and also in the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam?
Thank you. I think what the government is trying to do now is on the right path. For example, Prime Minister have said that he is encouraging private-public partnership to get the industry involved. And then the DPM also have said that he is trying to put the 12 different ministry which is offering TVET program under one council, so that they can plan better and to get the industry involved, and to also get the human resource ministry to maybe project what is the current scenario now. So we are talking about big data. You need to have data in order to formulate the correct kind of policy. For example, now, how many technocrat, maybe how many engineer we need. Those days, I remember, I used to listen to the radio. They always say, the advertisement is, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. But do you know now that, there's a surplus of a doctor? There's a surplus of even lawyer. My niece was a doctor. For 4 years, there was no placement of internship. Now, after having placement, it's on contract basis. So I think for TVET, the government should look into this data and what the industry needs. And with that, I think we are more focused. And then with the government help and the industry support, I'm sure we'll be able to achieve what the government wants. So this is my parting words.
Thank you, Madam Tan. I think there's one thing that I feel it is very heartwarming when we hear that the Prime Minister said we must invite the GLCs like Petronas, DRB, and other big GLCs to come in and adapt some of these institutions, the TVET institution and so on. I think that will be really great, other than the ordinary PPP as well. But I think one most important thing that we should always remember, for the TVET graduates, they should not be employed all the time. They should be working on their own. They should be doing job that is even small, but it will give them a greater income and they can continue to learn. I just want to mention one thing. When I was in New Zealand, I was working there for a while when I was in the ministry. We had our toilet, couldn't be flushed. So we called this plumber to come to our house. I was so shocked. Finally, just a small thing, he went there for 5 minutes. I had to pay him 150 New Zealand dollars. So I was just thinking, I was telling my husband, what is this? So why can't we do the same thing in our own country? Encourage them to be on their own instead of just giving them ideas where they can work. But however, it has been, I'm really sorry that I couldn't allow any more questions because we are really running short of time. But it has been really a pleasure, delightful for me to be sitting down here amongst these amazing 5 experts in their own way. And I want to thank again KSI and the other partners for giving us this opportunity to talk about this most important, very important area subject this evening. Even though it's the last session, but I'm glad that we see many faces are still here. And thank you so much, each one of you. You have been really great, amazing, as mentioned by Prof just now. And thank you again to everyone. I hope that we'll be able to do something to put forth, Dr. Ramlee, since you are from UPSI, do something about it whereby that the government can play a role, better role. And thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.